Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parishana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishkam Vitam Sya Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanachana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Supurakam Guraganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Shri Rupa Patanagam Govinda Abhidam Ujjwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Vande Vishwa Gurun Shah Divyad Bhagavad Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanum Suchandavaranam Balarka Chilanshitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Banditam Shubhadam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishvara Sridharam Vanshakopatarubyasya Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the hidden treasure of the sweet absolute, and we're in chapter 5, Karma-sannyasa-yoga, the path of renunciation of action, and this is verse number 12. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva shantim apnoti naishtikim ayukta kamakarena phale sakto nibhadyate. Giving up attachment to the fruits of his actions, the materially unmotivated nishkam karma yogi attains constant peace or liberation from actions and reactions. But the fruit of worker, sakama karmi, is attached to the fruits of his actions, and he becomes implicated by his endeavors. Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj. But the fruit of worker sakama karmi is attached to the fruits of his actions, and he becomes implicated by his endeavors. So a person engaged in devotional service understands that the enjoyer of all his activities is the Supreme Lord. And that way he gives up attachment to his activities. And even if he works within society, such as working to maintain his family, he does so as an act of devotion. Therefore, he isn't bound by his actions. But one who is working only or engaging only to achieve the fruits of his actions becomes bound by action and reaction. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyate. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasyaste sukhambasi navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvan karayan. Mentally renouncing all actions, the self-controlled, embodied living being resides happily within the city of 9 gates, neither acting nor causing work for others. The city of 9 gates refers to the body, which has 9 gates: 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, mouth, anus, and genital. So those are the 9 gates. Mentally renouncing all actions. A self-controlled, embodied living being resides happily within the city of 9 gates, neither acting nor causing work for others. Na kartritvam na karmani lokasya srijati prabhu na karma phala samyogam svabhavas tu pravartate. The Lord does not generate anyone's ego of considering themselves the doer, nor their actions, nor their association with the fruits of their actions. These are all a result of their external nature of ignorance since time immemorial. The Lord does not generate anyone's ego of considering themselves the doer, nor the actions, nor their association with the fruits of their actions. These are all a result of their external nature of ignorance since time immemorial. So sometimes we hear that people are considering why so many counterproductive activities or bad things are happening in this world. And sometimes people use that as an argument to deny the existence of God, that why would all these things be happening? But people don't understand things except on a very childish level. They don't understand that they have free will, and by the misuse of their free will, since time immemorial, they've been buddha-jeev, they've been conditioned souls. They believe they're the doer of their activities and they're trying to enjoy the fruits. But this leads them into all different kinds of perverse consciousnesses. When the consciousness becomes like that, completely mundane, then naturally their activities will be on that on that platform of considering I'm the doer and I'm the enjoyer. And some people will perform very, very wrong activities with that misconception. Instead of understanding their true nature, which is spiritual, that they're eternal spirit souls, they work against their own interest and against the interest of others. But that is all due to a misuse of their independence. Then we might consider, well, why is this misuse of independence, why is it allowed? Why does the Lord allow this misuse of independence? But the answer is, without independence, there's no such thing as love. And if we are going to be just constrained in our activities, that destroys our individuality. So sometimes we see that our movements are constrained by events that are happening in the environment. And those reactions which are occurring in the environment are due to everyone's past activities, our own and others. And that puts us within being bound up with them in the material nature. But it has nothing to do with, or should not be an excuse to blame God. It's not by Him that these things are happening. As it says here, the Lord does not generate anyone's ego of considering themselves the doer, nor their actions, nor their association with the fruits of their actions. These are all a result of their external nature of ignorance since time immemorial. The spirit soul doesn't have is it ignorance, but that comes about by identifying with ego, false ego. Jnanena tu tad ajnanam yesham nashitam atmana tesham adityavadz jnanam prakashayati tatparam. Jnanena tu tad ajnanam yesham nashitam atmana tesham adityavadz jnanam prakashayati tatparam. Oh, I skipped a verse here, I believe.
Yeah.
Did I read? Nakartridvam nakarmani lokasya srijati prabhu nakarma phala samyogam swabhavas tu pravartate. I read that. The Lord does not generate anyone's ego, considering themselves the doer, nor their actions, nor their association with the fruits of their actions. These are all a result of their external nature of ignorance since time immemorial. Narate kasyachit papam nachaiva sukritam vidu agyena vritam gyan agyanena vritam gyanam tenam muyanti jantava narate kasyachit papam nachaiva sukritam vibhu agyanena vritam gyanam tena muyanti jantava. The Supreme Lord accepts neither the sin nor the piety of anyone. The living being falls into illusion because their knowledge is covered by ignorance. Supreme Lord accepts neither the sin nor the piety of anyone. The living being falls into illusion because their knowledge is covered by ignorance. So the Lord is, people are concerned about, they're concerned about having some kind of pious activity, and they look for punya, which means pious activities. And they do so because they're considering that they're going to be acting on the plane of karma, and their only problem with pop or sin is that it brings them some adverse reactions. So some persons with some limited fund of knowledge, they'll try to engage in pious activities so they get good results. But actually, when one considers acting on the plane of devotion, one is not interested in punya, and one is only interested in acting on the divine platform, or actions of sukriti, actions that are involved in devotional service. We're not concerned about acquiring some good results for our activities, because whether one is chained to the mode of sattva gun or one is chained to the mode of rajagun or tamagun, one is still bound. So one has to become only maybe in sattva gun, maybe your chains are made out of pure gold, and maybe in rajagun your chains are made of iron. But in tamagun, worse yet situation, more tightly bound up. But the point is, whatever the chains are, they're still chaining you to mundane actions and mundane results, and we can say, from a devotional point of view, it's all suffering in this world as long as one is acting within the modes of material nature. Even if one is getting some good results due to pious activities. But we heard one story long ago where a prince who was enjoying so much good fortune, he was told, you should live, you should not die. And then a person who was a butcher, he was told, you should not live, you should not die. And a wise man was told, a brahmachari was told, you should not live, you should die. And a wise man was told, you should live or you should die. The idea was that the prince, you should not live, you should live, you should not die. He was enjoying the results of his pious activity so nicely, but without the understanding that after his pious activities were all exhausted, he would get another birth and he would not be in such an enjoyable situation. Then the brahmachari was told that you should not live, you should die, because under the consideration of that person, he was engaged in so many rigorous activities that were non-enjoyable, but that with the idea that in the future he would get some good results. So he is told that you should not live, you should die, because although maybe your situation is difficult now, your future will be better. And the butcher was told, you should not live, you should not die, because your life now is like hell. Everything, you're surrounded by slaughter and so much suffering, so your life is like hell. And also after you die, your life will become worse. So you should not live, you should not die. And to the saint he was told, you should live, you should die. Meaning the saint was always on the divine platform and all his activities were devotional. So when he's living, his activity, he is in perfect consciousness. And when he leaves this world, his situation will also be very good. Yeah. So, like that. The Supreme Lord accepts neither the sin nor the piety of anyone, the living being. Living beings fall in delusion because their knowledge is covered by ignorance. Tad buddhayas tad atmanas tanishtas tad parayana. No, that's the wrong verse. Sorry. Gyanena tu tad agyanam yesham nashitam atmana tesham aditya vajnanam prakashaya yati tat param. Gyanena tu tad agyanam yesham nashitam atmana tesham aditya vajnanam prakashaya shayati tat param. For persons whose divine knowledge has awakened, their ignorance is destroyed, and their wisdom, like the shining sun, reveals the supreme reality. Gyanena tu tad agyanam yesham nashitam atmana tesham adityavaj jnanam prakashayati tat param. For persons whose divine knowledge has awakened, their ignorance is destroyed, and their wisdom, like the shining sun, reveals the supreme reality. So that is our understanding that divine knowledge, when awakened, will dissipate or take away ajnana, ignorance. Just like the sun, when it appears, will take away darkness, will remove darkness. So when the sun appears within our heart, then everything inauspicious will go away. Tad buddhiyas tad atmanas tanishtas tat parayana gachandi apunar avritim jnana nirduta kamasha. Tad buddhayas tad atmanas tanishtas tat parayana gachandi apunar avritim jnana nirduta kamasha. Those whose illusion has been completely dispelled by knowledge always think of me, the Supreme Lord. I'm their meditation, and they abide in me alone, hearing and singing my unending glories in pure devotion. Thus they are liberated from the mundane. Those whose illusion has been completely dispelled by knowledge always think of me, the Supreme Lord. I am their meditation, and they abide in me alone, hearing and singing my unending glories in pure devotion. Thus they are liberated from the mundane. Okay. So, Srila Maharaj, he's remarked on the Lord's, what we can see is almost appearing to be like some propaganda, in the sense that the Lord is speaking to Arjuna. And for instance, he says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mame vaishyasi satyam te. Like that. He's Manmanas bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mame vaishyasi satyam te prati. What is, how does the verse begin? Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru mame vaishyasi satyam te. Always think of me, become my devotee, bow down before me. Here we have 934. Very famous verse. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaisyasi yugvaivam atmanam mat parayana. That's one of the verses. There's two like this. Always think of me, be my devotee, always worship me and offer obeisance to me. Thus offering yourself to me and taking refuge in me, you will come to me. And the other verse is anyway, the point that Guru Maharaj is making is that the Lord is saying verses, is speaking in this way, giving, telling one to bow down to him, one to worship him. This is 1865, the other verse. That's the one I believe I'm forgetting the last line of. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. So the Lord is saying, I'm speaking to you in this way because you're very dear to me. So the point Srila Maharaj is making is that the Lord is, in no other scripture or in no other path do we find that the Lord is so speaking in such a way as to tell one to worship him, to bow down before him. We don't see that in other religions. But the Lord says that he's giving this advice. Think of me, devote yourself to me, worship me, and bow down to me, and surely you will come to me. I promise you this because you are dear to me. So it's out of affection that the Lord is saying this. These are not some kind of commandments. But he's very, in the words of Guru Maharaj, very audaciously making propaganda for himself for the benefit of the conditioned souls. And also, in this way, those whose illusion has been completely dispelled by knowledge always think of me, the Supreme Lord. I am their meditation, and they abide in me alone, hearing and singing my unending glories in pure devotion. Thus they are liberated from the mundane. So, one is always free to choose, and one can choose between the Lord or engaging in mundane activities in this world. But actually the path of devotion is very beautiful, and it gives one happiness. The nature of the soul is eternal, full of divine consciousness or knowledge, and also happiness. So in this way, we see that the Lord talks about a path that is ultimately very auspicious and full of happiness for those who take the devotion. So it is not being said in the sense of this is obligatory. You decide. You decide what actions you will pursue. You have your choice. And it's not necessarily a choice between, do this and suffer, and do, or you must take to this. Because actually the Bhagavad Gita is presenting many different ramifications, many different paths of engagement. Because we're, as we have heard previously, we're in contact with the spiritual master, with the divine servant of the Lord. And we have heard Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. We have come in contact with a person like Srila Govinda Maharaj and Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, was tattvadarshi. So they're giving us good advice. We're hearing from them, and that is changing, that is infinitely helping us. But other persons don't have that kind of guidance. Some guidance is given here in the Bhagavad Gita, and there is different paths presented. If you can't do this, then do that. And if you can't do this, those ideas are given in other paths, but to lesser degrees. I remember when, at one time, I read the Bible, and there I saw in the sermons of Paul, he was saying, the best is if you can be like me, because we need workers, or we need persons to help along this path, meaning take to the life of full commitment. Then he said, but if you cannot do that, then you can marry someone of faith, meaning if you can live as a preacher, or as an apostle in his case, I guess you would say, then that's good, because we need those kind of workers. If you can't do that, then you can marry, but marry someone in faith, of the faith. And then he said, if you can't do that, then you can marry someone who may not be of the faith, but who will not interfere with your engagement in devotion or religiosity, as the case may be. So there's some advice given. If you can do this, this is better. If you can't do this, this is better. So that's But that's within the, we can say, within the bounds of religion. But the Lord here is not speaking in those terms, because we're engaged in what's called Sanatana Dharma. The Sanatana Dharma is the eternal engagement of the soul. So then he's giving instructions for those who are real, who can come to the level of being realized souls. Those whose illusion has been completely dispelled by knowledge always think of me, the Supreme Lord. I'm their meditation, and they abide in me alone, hearing and singing my unending glories and pure devotion. Thus they are liberated from the mundane. Then you can understand who these souls are, who was engaged in this way. And even if you're not living in that way, if you can come into association with such persons and serve them, you'll be benefited. Vidya vinaya sampane brahmane gavihastini shunichaiva swapakecha pandita samadarshina. The enlightened souls see transcendence within all living beings, whether the humble and learned Brahman, the cow, the elephant, the dog, or the dog-eater. Therefore, they are to be known as Pandita, men of true wisdom. So those persons, the emphasis here is their knowledge is not to make distinctions based on bodily characteristics, that they're seeing something beyond the limitations of body, mind, senses, that they can understand the nature of the soul and the nature of the soul's devotion and relationship with the Supreme Lord. So the enlightened souls see transcendence within all living beings, whether the humble and learned Brahman, the cow, the elephant, the dog, or the dog-eater. Therefore, they are to be known as Pandit, men of true wisdom. They're able to see beyond bodily limitations. Also, when we were when we were celebrating the Shringa Chaturdasi, also commented how Prahlad Maharaj, he said, I don't want to be able to see persons in terms of limitations. I don't want to see someone as a friend or someone as an enemy. I reject that kind of conclusion. To see somebody based on friends or enemies, he said, I do not believe that this is actual wisdom. Ihaiva tarjitas sargo yesham samye stitamana nirdosham isamam brahma tasmad brahmani testita. Those whose minds are equipoised in Brahman have conquered the cycle of birth and death while living within this world. By their perfect spiritual equanimity, they are always situated in transcendence. Those whose minds are equipoised in Brahman have conquered the cycle of birth and death while living within this world. By their perfect spiritual equanimity, they are always situated in transcendence. So, yes, it is possible by devotion that even living in this world of dualities, that one is able to live on the divine platform by one's consciousness and one's activities. So that we can see that's coming to the level of spiritual understanding. And here we can say Brahman understanding, which is beyond birth and death. By their spiritual equanimity, they are always situated in transcendence. Na prasrijet priyam prapya nodvijet prapya cha priyam stirabudir asammudo brahmavid brahmanistita tad prarishet priyam prapya nodvijet prapya cha priyam Sthirabuddhir asammudo brahmavid brahmani stita. Absorbed in transcendence, endowed with steady intelligence, and free from the delusion of thinking of the body and associated objects as me and mine, the knower of the Absolute is neither happy when pleasant things come his way, nor sad when unpleasant things come his way. Absorbed in transcendence, endowed with steady intelligence, and free from the delusion of thinking of the body and associated as objects as me and mine, the knower of the Absolute is neither happy when pleasant things come his way, nor sad when unpleasant things come his way. That's the nature of living in this world. When we've heard that no one searches, everyone is looking for happiness. No one is searching for unhappiness. But without being sought, sometimes unpleasant things and unhappiness come within one's life. That is nature, because this world is a world of birth and death. So naturally we will be affected by the temporary nature of this world. Just like when people get married, they say, I now pronounce you man and wife till death do you part. So there's a clause in there. The clause is till death do you part. And even if that works out very nicely, then that happiness may be interrupted by death. I remember in Mexico, we were living where our ashram was. There was a couple next to us, middle-aged people. They were elderly, a little beyond that. They were very nice people. The man had diabetes, and somehow or other he had some, attack, and he was given, somehow or other, he was given the wrong medicine, and he passed away. Then, shortly after that, his wife passed away also, which to us seemed almost that she passed away because her husband passed away, out of separation or unhappiness. So even one may be equipoised and situated well in this world, there always will be some unpleasantness coming. And no one's looking for that unhappiness. No one's looking for that difficulty. But it's coming without being sought. So we may also consider that whatever we're seeking in terms of happiness, we make such a determined endeavor to get that happiness and work so hard for it. And so, yet sometimes we're getting the opposite result. But be that as it may, why should we make so much endeavors for something that can come to us without being sought? Because there are persons who, just as persons get unhappiness in their life, some persons will get events happen to them which will be of happiness. But rather than get elated when some favorable thing happens, or very dejected when something unhappy happens, why not search for something that will not come just of its own accord, which is spiritual engagement, devotion, and advancement in devotional service, or engagement in the service of the Lord. That won't happen just automatically. That one will have to come into the association of devotees and engage in devotion. So rather than become, elated when something pleasant happens, and dejected when something unpleasant happens, why not engage one's endeavor more positively? So, absorbed in transcendence, endowed with steady intelligence, and free from the delusion of thinking of the body and associated objects as me and mine, the knower of the Absolute is neither happy when pleasant things come his way, nor sad when unpleasant things come his way. So here it's mentioned the misconception of me and mine, or we've heard it as I and mine. I am this body is me. So seeing everything's in terms of I am this body, I am this, which is all these false identifications of oneself are called upadis. There are misconceptions of who one really is. And I would say everybody who is in material consciousness has these misconceptions. Nobody can say who they actually are, see themselves as distinct from the body. And mine, this is me, or I am this I and mine. Mine means all my possessions, or all the extensions of myself. My country, my family, my society. Everything is predicated by possessiveness. So this verse rejects that kind of conclusion. The knower of the Absolute is neither happy when pleasant things come his way, nor sad when unpleasant things come his way. Absorbed in transcendence, endowed with steady intelligence, and free from the delusion of thinking of the body and associated objects as me and mine, the knower of the Absolute is neither happy when pleasant things come his way, nor sad when unpleasant things come his way. Bhaya sparshesh vasaktatma vindati atmani yat sukam. Bhaya sparshe vasaktatma vindati atmani tat sukam. Sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukam akshayam ashnute. Detaching his mind from external pleasures, such a knower of the Absolute Truth tastes the inner joy of self-realization. Then, absorbing himself in meditation of the Absolute, he experiences inexhaustible bliss. Detaching his mind from external pleasures, such a knower of the Absolute Truth tastes the inner joy of self-realization. Then, absorbing himself in meditation on the Absolute, he experiences inexhaustible bliss. So, in order to find that inexhaustible bliss and absorb oneself in meditation, one has to become detached from this material world and also know one's true identity. And not because the previous verse we heard that one is not in this consciousness of me and mine, so then the continuation is to be free from the attachment to pleasant things and detach from, and be free from the attachment from pleasant things and not be bothered by the distress or rejection of unpleasant things. So detaching his mind from external pleasures, such a knower of the Absolute Truth tastes the inner joy of self-realization. Thus, absorbing himself in meditation on the Absolute, he experiences inexhaustible bliss. So that is coming as continuation of the last verse, that absorbed in transcendence, endowed with steady intelligence, and free from delusion. Then one's mind is detached from external pleasures, and such a knower of the Absolute Truth tastes inner joy of self-realization. But that will come by the understanding or becoming absorbed in devotion and not attached to the extensions of bodily enjoyment or bodily suffering. And we'll read one more verse here. Ye samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adi antavanta konteya nateshu ramate buddha. Ye samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta konteya nateshu ramate buddha. O son of Kunti, the pleasures that arise from the contact of the senses with their objects are the cause of unhappiness, as they are transient. The wise never delight in such pleasures. O son of Kunti, the pleasures that arise from the contact of the senses with their objects are the cause of unhappiness, as they are transient. The wise never delight in such pleasures. So here, the pleasures that arise from contact of the senses with their objects. Now, that's the pleasure. That's the pleasure that everyone's knowing, that the senses are meeting up with their objects of their senses, whether it's a sense of sight. Oh, they're seeing something very appealing, very beautiful, or the hearing is hearing some charming sound. Just like, as Prahlad Maharaj said, the attached, after enjoying the pleasures of childhood and sports, then one becomes attached to family life, and in family life one becomes very pleased by the gibberish of small children. Their endeavors to talk, that will be very charming to one. And there are many different objects of sight which will please one greatly, whether it's the pleasures of seeing something beautiful or something like that. It can be in so many different realms. The pleasures of sight, the pleasures of touch, the pleasures of sound. Also, we have the pleasures of the mind, pleasures of smell, 5 sense objects in there, and the mind. What is the pleasure of sight, touch, smell, hearing, and taste. Something wonderful tasting. But here, Krishna is saying that you are thinking of the pleasures that are arising from the contact of the senses with their sense objects. That's what you call pleasure. But that is the cause of unhappiness. Why? As it's all transient. Transient means temporary. So you're enjoying the taste of something. But that enjoyment of your taste will go away when whatever that is finished. And that may even cause you pain immediately in the form of some reaction. But it's all just ephemeral. It's all temporary. It's like trying to embrace something that's made out of vapor. It's just like that. It will ultimately be frustrating. The cause of unhappiness as all this, meeting of the senses with the sense objects, it's all transient. You can't hold on to that. You can't enjoy it. The wise never delight in such pleasures. So they're not looking for something that's transient. Why should we engage our endeavor or our energy in something that's not going to last? the sun is shining and everything is very nice, and one does not think about the coming change of seasons when the nice weather will go away. And we always heard the story when we were young about the person who never tried to build a house for himself or his family because everything was so nice and he could live nicely like that. But when the pangs of winter came and he was totally unprepared, then he would suffer. And we see that. That is always going on in this world. People are always trying to make some plans for future happiness based on their enjoyment of their senses. But ultimately, they have to awake to the reality that's not really going to bring them any real happiness. On the contrary, it's going to bring them pain. And there will be something that happens. Because karma is like that. You're enjoying, but there will be a bill to pay. You're enjoying so much, but when it comes time for you to pay a steep price or pay a bill that's more than you have the recourses to pay, beyond what you have in your pocket, then you'll be shocked. I remember when I was very young and I was living in Massachusetts, and then I went to New York City, and I invited one girl who I had met to go out with me, and I had no idea, where to eat in New York. So I took her to one restaurant, thinking by the name that it looked modest, but when I got inside, they gave me a menu that had no prices on it. And that was a shocking event. No prices, because I thought, they don't publish any prices here. Obviously, whatever they order is going to be beyond my ability to pay. So as soon as I saw that, I made every endeavor to get out of there. And of course, I'm sure it didn't make me look very, very good, but that person understood that I was totally naive when it came to, being in New York City and going out to eat. I had no idea what to do. So we're looking for pleasures, and it's like being like that. We don't know what the bill will be, and we don't know if we have the ability to pay for it. Karma's like that. I'm enjoying, but what happens when I'm given a bill and I don't have the account or the resources to pay for that bill? That will be what I'm trying to enjoy, but now when I'm faced with this result, that the pleasure I had was transient, was temporary, and now I have to pay for that pleasure, and that's not pleasant. So anyway, we'll continue tomorrow. Sorry that I didn't remember the last line of that verse. Manmana bhavavan bhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. I promise you this because you are very dear to me. That's the line I did. The most important part of the verse. But think of me, engage yourself in me, worship me, bow down before me. I'm telling you this for your own benefit. Why? Because you're very dear to me. Because you're very dear to me, I'm giving you this information because it's for your benefit. That very important point. Whoops. Oh, this was not good to hit that microphone on the cartel. All right. And I'm not even going to play the cartels, actually, because of that. That was a warning to me by the microphone. Don't play the cartels. I like playing the cartels, but when I'm close to the mic, people near on the other side of the speakers experience some difficulty. All right. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopa Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Moha Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanata Bhatta Raguna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raguna Chai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jai Te Vignana Shabista Puran Chai Gosai Jarmui Taradas Tasavar Padarenu Mora Panchagras Tader Chanrana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame Janame More Abhilas Chai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Anande Volo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryas Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudas Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryas Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudas Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridharishu ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paramajaka Charyasta Tara Sadashri Srimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paramajaka Charyasta Tara Sadashri Srimad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Rupanuga Guru Bharga ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Madhacharya Vrinda ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Navadip Dham ki jai. Shri Dham Mayapur ki jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Koladvip ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai. Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva ki jai. Ganga Devi ki jai. Tulasi Maharani ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Vrindavanam ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Sham Kunda Radhakunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki jai.